Evening peeps, it's the big one. It's Red Bul Ring in the wet. So this is one they've all been talking about this week. It's the first wet race we've had. Evening CJ, how you doing, mate? Good luck in the Pro-Am lobby, mate. Yeah, this is the first race I'm going to have commentated over in the wet. This is a new feature for Gran Turismo. They've stuck it in the last download, so I know the guys have been practicing hard with it. So I just hope they all keep it clean. I'm sure they're thinking the same thing. Evening watchers, Ryan, evening my friend. Yeah, it's going to be a long night, CJ, you could be right. Yeah, one of my other events. Yeah, I've got a few going on. So, we are going to start with 15 minutes of quali, and then we jump into the first race of this evening. It's going to be about 15 minutes long. I think it's something like 12 laps. They're set by laps now rather than time. And then we jump into the second race of the evening, which will be a reverse grid of the first race. And that will be approximately half an hour long. So Potomac Pot just about to start qualifying session. You see the man himself just ghosting out while he sets it all up. So while we're here, let me put some things on. Have I got to do that again? I don't know. Let's have a look. Nope, we're in. I don't know what we're looking at there. That's a good view of the track though. So we see Potomac Pot then just coming out the pits. So all the guys having to use the wets for this first race. The second race they do have to use two different compounds, so they have got a wet tyre and an intermediate tyre as well. They have to use both compounds in the second race. So let's just see if we can get on board with Potomac Pot in the wet. So driving the Mercedes then, Potter. It was quite chaotic last week. Unbeatable, evening my friend, how you doing? I'm doing alright mate, I'm doing alright. This is going to be an interesting one. You can see how loose this car is. Look, Potomac Pot absolutely struggling with it. No traction control in these cars, so it's all about throttle control. You can see Potter just easing the throttle on there. Keeping it straight. Coming into the second to last corner. Again, just easing on the power. So a lot of steering input as well tonight by the look of it. The guy's arms are going to hurt by the end of it, I can see it. Nice one, Ryan. Appreciated, my friend. You won't miss a race. Well, flipping it, you're not going to have a lot of time to yourself either. I'll be on 5 nights a week before you know it. So let's come out of on-board view with Potomac Pot. He's had enough exposure. So tonight's race is brought to you by David Appleby Engineering, XI Energy Drinks, Thrustmaster Racing Equipment, Sim Racing Equipment, and GT Omega Racing Equipment as well. So the sim rigs and the seats and things. Those guys have sponsored the race. Potomac Pot holding a darksmoka little sticker there on his car. Thank you, my friend, appreciated. But yet all over the place in the wet. So still nobody yet to put a hot lap in. Better than TV. Cheers, mate. I must admit, the TV I'm watching this stream on now, this race on, is the one that used to be on my living room wall. for very similar reasons, because there's nothing on it worth watching. So I thought, sod it, I'm not wasting all that money on a great big 3D TV, flat screen, all the rest of it, and I'm just leaving it on the wall downstairs doing nothing, so I'm having it. So still no hot laps in at the minute. As I say, this is brought to you tonight from Red Bull Ring. This is one of the first wet races I've seen. I've seen them on the Gran Turismo FIA races. But this is the first one I've actually commentated over. So B-rated then, putting in the first of tonight's hot laps, 1:43.9. Saxo then second place at the minute to 1:44.3 for him. Louis, just keeping control of that, 1:44.5 for Louis. Big Les Kun, hello my friend, 1:45.2 for Big Les. So you will notice there are one or two new drivers in the lobby tonight. So it has been determined that there are a few drivers possibly in the wrong league. So some drivers have come up and some drivers have gone down in the leagues. There are two lobbies open. CJW is streaming from his perspective on his channel, that's CJW Racing, and he will be doing a post-race review as well. So in a couple of days time he'll look back over the race and do almost like a highlights. So in tonight's lobby, new drivers tonight, we have Big Les Kun. He's a P1 driver. Commentated over this guy a few times. All these boys like to keep it clean. Diablo, an old rival of mine from the GTTCCs. He's also been promoted from the Pro-Am lobby. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on tonight. He's a quick guy. So I will say good day to him, mate. He's an Australian, so he does get up at night 7 in the morning to race with us in the UK. So if that's not dedication, I don't know what is. GT Delhi B as well, another new driver. He's also another old rival of mine from the GTTCC. Very quick guy. He'll be one to look out for in the pro lobbies. So TNR Philo, current leader of this championship at the minute, drifting the hell out of that Nissan, but keeping it on track. Let's just flick through. So JRC87, he was here last week. L Game was here last week. Pav was here. Who's sure there's another new driver. GT Deddy B Diablo, Big Les Kun. Oh, NGR Saxo, that's right. He's the last driver to be promoted from the Pro-Am up to the Pro. So yeah, 4 new drivers from Pro-Am up into Pro League then, and there are some drivers gone back down to Pro-Am. It's all been decided, it's all been fairly decided, so nobody's too upset. So we'll see how the new guys get on in the lobby tonight. But let me just run through some times then. So B-Rate is still holding P1 at the minute, 1:43.9. NGR Saxo, again, been promoted, 1:44.3 for second spot on the grid at the minute. Diablo, so the new boys showing their worth then, 1:44.3 for him. So that's 2 of the new guys up in the top 3. Louis, I've seen this guy race a few times. Likes to keep it clean, very fast guy as well. 1:44.5 for him. Luis Marino, I believe I read something about this guy. I'm sure he raced and won an FIA iRacing League or something like that. Someone could comment and tell me otherwise. It was something like that. It might have been him that posted it, I don't know. Did I even tell his lap time? No, 1:44.5 for Lewis. Polish Magic then is 6th spot. He was in 6th spot, now in 7th, 1:44.6. He's just pushed themselves up. Big Les Kun then, 1:44.2 for Big Les. So holding the torch for the P1 boys. So MRC Bobby then, the 1:45.1 for Bob. He's rocking a pretty lively livery tonight. TNR Philo, 1:45.4. GT Deddy B, 1:45.5 for GT at the minute. L Game at 1:45.7. JRC 87 with a 1:46.2 is his fastest lap. Potter McPot only holding 13th at the minute with that 1:51.3. So struggling a bit at the minute, Potter. And then Pav then right at the back, 2:48. So he's looks like he's been doing pirouettes on the track in this weather, maybe. But way off the pace at the minute for Pav. See the spray coming off the back of these cars. It'll be interesting to see what the view's like from inside when you're close to another driver. So yeah, Louis just losing the back end of that Mercedes. All the cars being rear-wheel drive tonight. It will be an absolute handful. I think we've only got Big Les Kun left unbeatable. I think the other boys decided it wasn't for them. So times flicking around them. B-rated still holding that top spot. Louis now into second while we're on board. MRC Bobby now pushed himself up into third as well. 1:44.0. Potter McPot then putting in a smasher. He's on a 1:43.5. Les Kun then being pushed out down to 5th. NGR Saxo in 6th with that second lap of 1:44.3. Diablo 1:44.3 as well. Evening Baggy, my friend, how you doing? And Lewis 1:44.4, so this guy's a real quick guy as well. Second in last week's race. Chat there. Which one do I want? That one. Oh no, I don't want that. I'm just going to pull up the current standings if I can find them. Is it that one? No. Screenshots. There they are. So. As I say, we do have some new drivers in the lobby tonight, so the points are all, looks like they've all been kept from previous races, the previous 2 rounds. So currently, Diablo from the Pro-Am, even though he's been promoted, he's currently holding the top spot. He's on 83 points. TNR Philo, who's been the current leader of the Pro lobby, he's right behind him on 81 points. Like I say, now Diablo's been pushed up a league. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on against what some people call aliens. So right behind him, right behind Philo in third is Luis Marino. He's got 72 points. L Game is in fourth with 60 points. Potter McPot is in fifth with 43 points. JRC 87 with 42 points. Louis 87 in 7th with 40 points. NGR Saxo. Let's find NGR Saxo. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. NGR Saxo, he's currently sitting in 8th place on 38 points. B-rated in 9th with 35 points. And MRC Bobby in 10th place with 29 points. And then in 11th place we've got Bernd Fry. I'm not sure if he's even in this league anymore. He might have quit. He's on 21 points. Polish Magic in 12th place with 20 points. And currently sitting at the back of the pack is GT Delhi B with 18 points. But again, new driver to this Pro lobby. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys get on. So just 15 minutes of quali. About 13 minutes into it. I will just flick through the order before it finishes. B-rated, then he's bettered his time and just been pushed down into second again by Potter McPot. So Potter McPot 1:43.4 for Potter. 1:43.5 for B rated for second. Still looking to put in hot laps though. NGR Saxo, as I say, one of the promoted drivers, doing well, holding third spot. Louis in fourth with a 1:43.8. Polish Magic just pushed himself up, 1:44.0 for him. MRC Bobby in sixth, 1:44.0 for him. Big Les Kun up there with the big boys. He's just been pushed down a few spaces now, so seventh place with him, the 1:44.2. Again, one of our newly promoted drivers. Putting in purple sectors though, Big Les. Let's just stick with you for a minute and see how you get on. So T1 and T2 will be the places to watch in the first lap. It'll be a tightly bunched grid heading towards a 90-degree corner, not a lot of runoff. It's heavy damage on tonight, so quite possibly ruin their race and somebody else's, and nobody wants that. It kind of ruins the league a little bit, so the damage we kind of hope it promotes a bit cleaner driving, but it didn't last week. But let's not go into that. It was Monza after all. So what we're going to do then, Big Les, what are you sticking in? Just kept it clean. Just losing the back end of that Mercedes a little bit there. So he puts himself up a couple of spots. Fifth place then for Big Les at the minute. So the counter has ticked over. Potter McPot in first, B rated in second. Looks like NGR Saxo in third, Louis in fourth, Big Les Kun in fifth, Polish Magic in sixth, MRC Bobby in seventh, Diablo in eighth, Luis Marino in ninth, GT Deli B stuck himself up into 10th, TNR Philo, just catch him losing the back end of that, he's in 11th then. 12th for JRC 87th, L Game in 13th, and Pav 46 bringing up the back of the pack. So that will be your grid order by the look of it, and we will jump straight into the first race pretty soon. VPNF 82, evening my friend. So flipping it, there's been all sorts of chat going on that I've not even paid attention to. Lots of big ups for the P1 boys. Can't shake the cliche. Evening again, my friend. Beta Ball isn't Potter a P1 driver? He is. He races for flipping everyone. Path holding some damage there. Yeah, so Potter drives races for MRC, Next Gen, P1. I'm not sure if he's done any for SIM-FX, but he's done a few. Yeah, that was a good lap. So I think we're just waiting for Potter to reset the lobby, ready for the race. I'm missing all the chat. Yeah, you'll enjoy it, Unbeatable, the new season, it'll be good. Evening Bars, another big shout for Big Les. CJW qualified P2, fair. Nice one. Jambu's 1.5 seconds quick. Yeah, he's a fast guy, mate. He is fast. Yeah, there is some fast drivers in here. Ryan Ellis, there certainly is. So we will keep a close eye on this start. Can't see the lights, unfortunately. Guys ready with their engines, ready for the off. Hope everyone gets a clean start. There's a lot of wheel spin off the line. Pot's got a good start. He is being chased down by NGR Saxo though pretty closely. Drifting the back end of that Mercedes. He's lost a spot then to Saxo. He's going to lose it to B rated as well into the first corner. So let's just keep our eye on this first corner. Potter just running wide a little bit. Most of the guys keeping it clean through there. Another dark smoker livery by JRC 87. Thank you, mate. So back up to the front. NGR Saxo then, he's made it cleanly through that first corner, made a bit of gap over B rated, nearly a second up now. B rated into second, so made up a spot on the grid. Oh no, he's back into second, that's where he started, wasn't he? As Potter McPot then, he's lost another place to Louis. And he's been pressured by Polish Magic as well. Serious threat. Potter McPot started in first place, now down in fourth, and under pressure for that spot as well by Polish Magic. Oh, but Polish Magic losing the back end of that, just lucky to keep that on track. Big Les Kun then holding 6th spot, under a bit of pressure from Lewis behind him though in the Nissan. GTD Delhi B, he's popped himself up 2 spots, up into 8th place as well. Again, another promoted driver, we'll have to keep an eye on him. As I say, I have raced against him before, he's pretty damn quick, I'll tell you that. MRC Bobby then in 9th spot. L Game just losing that Nissan as well in the background. TNR Philo into 10th then, so our current, well, his 2nd spot now, Diablo's in the league, but he was currently leading this pro lobby. Again, just losing the back end of that Nissan. Pav, he's made up 3 spots up into 11th then for Pav. Diablo, a bit of a nightmare down into 12th. L Game, we saw him losing the back end of that Nissan, so down in 11th for L Game. JRC now down in the back of the pack. So Saxo then still holding that lead. Gap's been closed by B rated a little bit. Louis riding this fight now as well. Ultimate Pot seems to be back on track, making a bit of a gap over Polish Magic, so 0.86 over Polish Magic. Just want to keep it clean through these corners. Lost my spot. Big Les Kun then still doing a fair job holding 6th place. He's made a bit of a gap over Lewis as well. So a good bit of driving from Big Les, again one of our promoted drivers this evening. Will be a lot of these first guys proper race in the rain. They may have had lobbies open and etc and set up little races, but Polish Magic then just again losing the back end of that Mercedes, managing to keep it on track. Holding a bit of a penalty after going off track there though. Luis Marino, he's closing that gap a little bit on Big Les. Polish Magic then just trying to lose that penalty through there. Just saw him drifting wide. MRC Bobby then up into 8th spot. Again holding a bit of a penalty. Just getting past Polish Magic as well. Up into 7th then for MRC Bobby. Delhi B now closing the door on Polish Magic as well. Again, all keeping it clean through these first couple of corners. It's T1 and T2 really that are the danger points. TNR Philo looks like he's struggling in this race. And L Game as well. So the Nissan, which has been the sort of standout car so far, it seems to be struggling in the wet. It's losing time. It's losing time to the Mercedes by the look of it. Diablo now down at the back of the pack. Sorry folks, I forgot to pull the info on. So I don't know what happened to Diablo. Looks like he's had a bit of a spin-off. So 14th, he's 8 seconds back as well from JRC, so a lot of work to do then for Diablo then. So NGR Saxo has increased that gap between himself and B rated, 1.4 seconds. So having an awesome first race in the pro lobby then, NGR Saxo. It will be a reverse grid for the second race, so he will have to fight his way all the way through the pack. That's if this race finishes like this. eking out that gap a little bit more. 1.5 now the gap, and putting in purple sectors, holding fastest lap 1:43.8. Rated. Yeah, just made up a little bit more on NGR Saxo. Louis just dropped off the back of this pair. 1.6 seconds back for Louis, but I know he's a quick driver, so keep your eye on him. He should be able to make that time back up. So tyre wear and fuel is on in these races. It's tyres times 5 and fuel depletion is times 3. Shouldn't have to pit in this first race. They should have enough fuel, and tyres should last the whole 15 laps. So Big Les Cunt made a spot then up into 5th place. Must have been through Diablo spinning out. ADG, evening mate, how you doing? Nice to have you on board. So still under a bit of pressure from Lewis Marino then behind, but MRC Bobby putting the pressure back on Lewis. He's made up another space. Then Bob again through Diablo spinning off. Yeah, I'm gonna find a driver and go on board in a minute and see what's going on. In fact, I might even go on board with MRC Bobby while he's behind. Here we go. While he's behind Lewis, and see it from his perspective. So it's good to see they've chucked rain on the windscreen as well. Bob drifting around that last corner, Lewis running it wide. Bob just losing the back end of that, and dinking the back end of Lewis. Thought he was going to make the move on him, but the back end of that Mercedes just stepping out, losing traction. And he had to avoid causing some serious damage to Lewis. Again, you can see the amount of input they're having to put in to keep these cars in a straight line. Bob now going for a move on Lewis. Lewis will have the inside line for this next corner. Bob will have the better line through it and the better drive out of it. So Lewis has just decided to back out of that. Giving Bobby the place, so up into 6th then for Bob. Down into 7th then for Lewis. He has got to be careful. He's got Polish Magic closing him down as well, 0.3 of a second. GT Delivy's not that far back, only 1.8. He's losing a little bit more time there. He's just closed that gap down massively, 1.5 seconds into that braking zone. Just drifting that Mercedes. TNR Philo then still down in 10th place. Again, current or ex-current champion of this league at the minute, with 2 wins under his belt. But as I say, with Diablo coming into this league, Diablo now takes the top spot. I'm sure that won't impress Philo. He'll be doing everything he can to take that lead back off him. But he's struggling a little bit in this Nissan. Game, another Nissan driver. Again, we've seen 1 or 2 moments of that, the back end of that Nissan just stepping out. Dory, evening mate. JRC again, another Nissan driver down at the back of the field, 12th place for him. Diablo trying to fight his way back through. So I think Diablo had a bit of a spin, put himself at the back of the pack, but he has managed to get past Pav. Pav is holding some damage, so damage is on heavy, so it doesn't repair itself as it goes around the track, which it does when you've got damage on light. It does mean you have to come in the pits and basically do this. You sit there and you fix your car and change your tyres. Yeah, it prolongs your pit stop. As we can see, he's had to wait around the pits there to get all his damage repaired. So that's cost him time. He's now 17 seconds back from... Oh, he's even further back. Let's just see what that time is. So he's coming up 33 seconds at the minute. That might change as he flicks over this timing line. No, so he stayed at 33 seconds back then from Diablo. So a lot of work to do for Pav. We'll benefit him for the second race. We'll put him in P1 if he stays there. So NGR Saxo then. His debut looking good. 2 seconds on the road from B rated. Controlling that Mercedes lovely in the rain then. So Louis has closed the gap on B rated. So it looks like it could be a bit of a battle looming for third place. Pop back up into fourth, chasing down this pack. He's done a fair bit of work. He's 2 seconds back from that fight. Holding fastest lap, 1:43.6 then for Potter. MRC Bobby in fifth. He's a few seconds back, 7.1 seconds back from Potter, but he is doing purple sectors. Lewis Marino. Who we lost? Oh, Big Les. Big Les has had a nightmare. He's looks like he span off track. He's got all sorts of damage on his car. First corner shenanigans by the look of it. So he's got a whole lap to do with very little power. His gearbox will be playing up. He's short shifting. You can see his revs up and down there. His car won't be running right. He'll have to do a whole lap like this and get back to the pits. So unfortunate for Big Les. Pav might even take that place off him. By the time he comes out of the pits, I'm sure that Big Les will be at the back of the pack. So a bit of a shame. But this wet can catch you out. So there is a fight kicking off in the background. Louis is looking for a move on B rated. B rated going defensive. So it's Mercedes versus Mercedes into T1. B rated just holding that spot at the minute. Is Louis going to get a cutback? He's got a good run out of here though, so can he get the move done before T2? He's right on B rated, literally pushing him down the track. B rated staying in the defensive line, still just holding it out there. Again, two Mercedes side by side coming through T2. Louis again just backing off, getting the slightly better run out of the corner. Not close enough to do it this lap, I don't think, or into this corner. Louis now holding fastest lap on 1:43.5. Oh, and drifting the back end of that Mercedes, so he'll lose a bit of time to B rated. B rated doing the same thing. So again, just Louis closing that gap through a couple of drift moments from B rated. And these two fighting will allow Pot to close the gap. MRC Bobby losing a bit more time to these guys now. But, LMP Lewis Marino's pretty close behind him, 1.3 seconds back for Lewis. Again, that Nissan just not looking very stable in this wet conditions. Polish Magic then is 7th, holding a little bit of a penalty. So we've got 1 minute left of this. Oh, I'm lying. What am I talking about? It's not 15-minute races, it's 15 laps. On lap 8 of 15. Polish Magic needs to clear that penalty. No damage, so it doesn't look like he's span off into the wall. It looks like he might have just cut the track a little bit. GT Delhi B then in 8th place, 1.3 back from Polish Magic. So a few laps to make the move on him. And with Polish Magic holding a little bit of a penalty, he will be able to close that gap a little more. So TNR Philo then up into 9th place through Big Les Kunz. Nightmare. Again, one of the drivers in the Nissan just struggling. Hell game as well. This Nissan's really not liking this wet weather. JRC again, another Nissan driver struggling in the wet weather. Diablo then, he's taken that place off Big Les Kun and looking to make a move on JRC as well. Pav still at the back of the pack, so not managing to take that place off Big Les. Big Les couldn't been in the pits, repaired his damage, so he's back on track to put some flyers in. He's 23 seconds back from Diablo, so he's got a lot of work to do. Very unlikely he's going to... Oh, Diablo then just making a move on L-Game. So yeah, the Mercedes seems to be a lot more stable in this wet weather than the Nissan. Maybe down to personal setup. Oh, so who's that just disappearing off? That's JRC. There's JRC and the Nissan just spinning off. So the proof's in the pudding, and again, just trying to put the power down. It's traction in these cars in this weather, even with the wet tyres on. They've got so much power, it's ridiculously easy to spin the wheels up. So JRC then, he's going to come under some pressure from Big Les. So a place to be had for Big Les then. He's just got to try and keep it clean. Get to the slipstream of JRC and chase him down. So that gap coming down, then half a second between JRC and Big Les. So we'll just stick with this. Oh, but Big Les losing a bit of time there, so drifting that Mercedes around the first corner there. So back up to a second then, that gap for Big Les and JRC. It's a shame, I thought there was a bit of a battle going to occur there. We will come back to it just in case. So NGR Saxo then. So 3.6 seconds up the road. So some of the pro drivers might be a bit upset that they've found this guy and put him in this lobby. Too late, he's in. So B rated, still under some pressure from Louis. Not managing to make that move on him yet then, Louis. Again, just losing the back end of that Mercedes. Again, B rated going defensive. Louis following him in. Just trying to get the best tow he can. Got a good run out as Louis. Big rated just losing traction, but oh, Louis running across the grass, that will compromise his speed a little bit. So yeah, he's losing a bit more time than Louis. That's unfortunate. I thought he was going to make a move down here as well. So Lewis Marino then up into 4th place. Looks like MRC Bobby's had a moment down into 6th. He's right on the back end of Pop-Tart. Yeah, so he's holding penalties. That's kind of telling me he's spun off track or something like that. So just making a move on Potter, then up into 5th for MRC Bobby. Pot right on his tail though. He's looking to take that place back. Difficult corner to overtake through there. Very easy to outbrake yourself, stick yourself on the grass. These cars, the back end of the Mercedes, just loose as anything. Still not quite as loose as the Nissans by the look of it. So TNR Philo then up into 7th. Who have we lost? Who's gone back? Oh, GT Delhi B. GT Delhi B's something's happened to him. He's down into 11th. He's under some serious pressure from JRC and Big Les. Big Les going for a move on JRC, so taking the inside line into T3 and taking that place off him cleanly. Now he's looking to get on the back of GT Delhi B and take that spot off him as well. That won't be an easy job to do. As I say, GT Delhi B is a quick driver. This is a new phenomenon for most of the drivers, this wet race. It's only just come down in the latest download for Gran Turismo. So Pav's still having a bit of a time at the back, almost 30 seconds off the back of JRC. Looks like this Aston looks like it might be a bit of a handful around this track in these conditions. We have seen him, he's had to go in the pits with damage already, so he has fired himself into the wall. And again onto the sand for Pav. You can see just as soon as you try and put the power down, back end steps out, and that's it. You're spinning round. It's like Bambi on ice. So Saxo still holding that P1 position, 3.5 seconds. The gap still keeping it consistent. B rated then, he's lost Louis. Looks like Louis had a bit of a spin, a bit of a moment through one of the corners. Lost 2 seconds to B rated then. So we're on lap 12 of 15, just coming up to lap, well, I think, so we are on lap 12 now. Luis Marino, he's 11 seconds back off Louis. MRC Bob, we've just seen him get past Potter McPotts, 79, but Potter McPotts right on him. Potter McPotts got a really good run out of there. Bob had a bit of a drift coming out. So just stay with this little fight and see if Potter can get that move done on Bob. Just losing a bit of time to Bob there. To get him into T2. No, I don't think he's close enough on this lap. A little bit too far back. Taking a different line through there though. So apologies if I'm not chatting to you guys. I will try and have a scroll through now. Yes, Dory, maybe we do need a race in the way at P1. Maybe we do. Peter Morgan, evening my friend, how you doing? Glad of you to check in. Sorry if I was quiet there, I was trying to read the chat, look at the race, all sorts of things. TNR Philo then, 7th spot for him. So he's 30 seconds off top spot at the minute. Not looking good for TNR Philo's chances in this race. So Diablo, he's fighting his way back through. 8th place then for Diablo. He did spin off track, he was back of the pack. He's fought his way back up to 8th. 7 seconds back from TNR Philo, only 2 laps left, so I doubt he's going to get that place back. So looking like he's got a fair old lead over L Game. Just going a bit defensive then, just cover off L Game into T1. Polish Magic, so he's had 1 or 2 little mares, he's down in 10th. GT Deli B, he's just had a spin. Down in 11th then for GT Deli B. Big Les Kun, we know he had a spin, he smashed himself into the wall. All sorts of damage on Big Les Kun's car. And he's had to pit to repair that damage, which put him at the back. Not quite at the back, he did manage to stay in front of Pav. And he's had a bit of a tussle with JRC 87, took him a few laps to get past JRC. He's only 1.8 off the back of GT Deli, so Deli better watch out. So we are on to the final lap then, as NGR Saxo just crosses the line there, 2.8 the gap. So B rated him, managing to close him down a little bit by about a second. Louis also closed that gap a little bit as well, so 1.2 seconds back to Louis. A lot of work to do, only 1 lap left. Take a mistake by one of the drivers now for any position changes. So 4th pace for Luis Marino. Potter McPott up into 5th then, got past MRC Bobby. TNR Philo in 7th. So still good points on the board for TNR Philo. L Game in 8th. Again, the Nissans just seem to be struggling this race. Mercedes versus Mercedes going through there. Diablo versus Polish Magic. So Diablo getting past. No, sorry. Just looking at the fight behind him. So still kicking off here then for this 9th place. We'll just jump up to NGR Saxo and follow him in on this final lap. Watch him cross the line in 1st place. His debut in the Pro League. It's been a good race from him. He's kept it clean. He stormed away at the start of the race. Managed to make it through the, not a melee, it was pretty clean through T1 and T2 this race. But just managed to squeeze his way through into T1 and take that top spot with a fair old lead. So P1 for NGR Saxo, good race my friend. B rated in 2nd. Louis in 3rd. He was looking to close the gap. LMP Luis Marino bringing home 4th. Potter and Pot, 5th place for Potter. Unfortunately, he was P1 on the grid after quali. But yeah, he's lost a few places during that race. 5th place for him. 6th place for MRC Bobby. Bit of a tussle between those two. TNR Philo home in 7th then. L Game in 8th. Diablo losing the back end of that. Polish Magic in 9th. Diablo in 10th. GT Deli B in 11th. Big Les Kun not quite able to take that place off Big GT Deli B before the end of that race, so 12th place for him. JRC 87 in 13th. And Pav almost half a lap back. Well, no, not half a lap, 1/3 of a lap, we'll say. So last place for Pav. As I say, you can see he's struggling with that car. So it's interesting. I was expecting cars everywhere, bits of Mercedes and Nissans, and just people doing donuts on certain corners, you know. But no, respectably clean. Tell you mate, Jambu's a fast driver. I don't know why he got demoted. For anybody else watching the stream, I was just talking to CJ who's just popped up. Yes, Ryan Ellis, that was a good win by NGR Saxo. As I say, he's newly promoted from the Pro-Ams, so to come up from Pro-Ams into the Pros against what some people might consider aliens and take the win. Yeah, damn good race. 2nd place, CJ. Woo! All the work to do in the 2nd race then. The longer, harder, worse race then. Let me give a usual biggity boing to him. Blickety bloing to him, and who's 3rd? Louis. Boink. Blam. So we will probably have a few minutes gap in between race 1 and race 2. It will be a reverse race for race 2, as I've just mentioned to CJ. So the drivers at the front will be at the back, and the drivers at the back will be at the front. Slightly different setup for this race, so they only start with half a tank of fuel, and they have to use both compounds of the wet tyre. So there is a wet tyre and an intermediate tyre. I know it will be set at a slightly different time of day, so the weather conditions will be slightly different to what you've seen in race 1. That's why they have to use 2 different compounds. In any of the other races, they have to use 2 different compounds in this 2nd race anyway, even if it's in the dry, so we're kind of keeping the same format. It is slightly drier, the 2nd race, so they can get away with the intermediates as well as the wets. Potter's not really saying how much of a... oh, I think he's just typing now. So he's going to let us know what kind of break we've got while people go for toilets, things like that. That's Louis saying he needs a towel. He's sweating through that one. So yeah, it looks like it was pretty hard work for the guys. I think when we went on board I said that it'd be a tough one. There was a lot of steering input. It's all about steering input and throttle in the wet. I suppose it's like that with the... thanks Bob. Bob saying that was a good race to me. I wasn't even in it. Yeah, so it's going to be a toughie. They've got half an hour of this now. As I say, the weather will be slightly different. Not quite as much water on track, I don't think, so they will get away with the wets and the intermediates. As I say, they only start with half a tank of fuel, so there will be a necessity for pit stops. So it's good to see a few of my regulars back. Seems a bit weird having a little bit of a following. Not seen Andre for a while. Andre Zell, he's usually one to pop into one of my streams. We've not seen Andre for a while. So what was I doing? Let me flick to race results. So yeah, good race by NGR Saxo. B-rated firm in it as well, so second place. And during the chat, B-rated was saying he wasn't that good and all the rest of it. So second place for B-rated. I was telling him he was lying because he smoked me in the GTTCCs alongside CJW. Both of those smoked me in it. So Louis didn't do bad. He was looking to make a move on B-rated for most of that race. Not quite managing to get the job done. Lewis Marino seemed to be one of the only drivers to get control of that Nissan. Potter McPot. Yeah, he had a bit of a mare. Qualified P1. Down into 5th for him then in that race. So him and MRC Bobby had a bit of a fight throughout that. TNR Philo then qualified in 10th, managing to get up to 7th. Again, struggling in that Nissan alongside L Game. Polish Magic and Diablo were higher up the field, but had a couple of spins. So that put them down a few spots. Diablo working his way back from the back of the pack. No, Ewok, there's not many P1 boys. There's only our man, Big Les Kun. So GT Delhi B, he's another one of our promoted drivers alongside Diablo, Big Les Kun and NGR Saxo. So GT Delhi B was having a good race. Again, just had a spin, put himself down the order, and only finished in 11th this race. Big Les Kun, same thing happened to him, span off track, caused all sorts of damage to his car, had to go in the pits and repair that. As did Pav. He had all sorts of damage. That put him down at the back of the pack, and he just struggled in that Aston. And JRC just not able to control that Nissan either. So the Mercedes seems to be the favourite car of this one. So let's just have a look what he's changed then. So it's a 22 lap race. So that's race 2. Yeah, so they start with 50 litres of fuel, like I say, and I don't think it's changed anything else. Nope. So it's still tyres times 5 and fuel times 3 in this race. Again, they will have to pit. So this event is sponsored by David Appleby Engineering. It's also sponsored by XI Energy Drinks, Thrustmaster Racing Peripherals, and GT Amiga race cockpits and race seats, office chairs. So they sponsor Next Gen. There are ways to get discounts off some of their things. I do believe it means joining Next Gen, and I'm just going to give you codes or anything like that. Not that I know the damn things. Evening, Pav. Not a good one for you there, my friend. You seem to be struggling in the wet in that Aston. So Pav just popping up in the chat there. One of our racers for tonight. That man, Pav. So yeah, you can see this is the new time setting for this race. A lot less water on the track. Ah, yeah, that doesn't help, mate. 14-hour shift, flipping it. You want to give that up? I don't care what job it is. Or unless it's like saving people's lives or something, then don't give that up, because that's a good job. No, fair enough, mate. I can imagine after the 14-hour stint, flipping out. I don't like going to work for 8 hours. So the new drivers in this lobby, and the fact that it's just been all turned on its head in race 1, that's really going to shake the tables up, I think, especially with Diablo with the most points. Although he's struggled, he was quite far back in race 1, he will still get points. Probably he might even stay ahead of TNR Philo. I don't know. Philo might just stay, might just have a point on him, I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see how well these Nissans operate. Now there's slightly less water on the track. Again, there is 2 different tyres they've got to use, so the intermediate tyre and the full wet. I'm sure the intermediate tyre won't handle as well as the full wet around here. It does look a bit patchy, the rain on the track. A few puddles. I don't quite know what the physics are like. I don't know whether it's whether it makes the wheel go light or something when you hit the puddles. Excite logo down the side of GT Delhi B's car, DAE logo on the wingtips as well. So myself and Potter and Pop did have the chance to hang around with the DAE boys, the David Appleby Engineering boys, on Saturday and Sunday down at Donington Park. So they were there for the GT race, and Potter and Pop won tickets last season in this very event. Yeah, shout out to David and James Appleby for putting up with us for 2 days. We were in and out of the garage, harassing them a lot, and I'm sure they didn't want us under their feet, but we were as courteous as we could be, really. You know, we got got out of the way when they told us to get out of the way and things like that. So we enjoyed it anyway. It was good. Thank you. Damage then for Polish. So this is just practice at the minute. There is a few minutes before we start race 2. And it will be a reverse grid of race 1. See where next week's race is. And just for anyone listening, Gran Turismo are bringing out a second wet track, one of the Tokyo tracks, which has been deemed a driver rated and sportsmanship rated destroyer. It's a fully walled track, barriers and walls on both sides, so in the wet that's going to be a nightmare to not smash into the wall. And Potomac Pot just posting up then that we've got 1 minute till race start. Let me see if I can find next week's track. That's going to be miles away. Let's have a look. Find that. Aha, right. So that's the wrong race. Wednesday's race, not Monday's. Where are we now then? So Red Bull Ring in the wet. Next week we will be bringing it live from Brands Hatch GP track. So we are just about to go into race start. So race 2 this evening for you people. It's a reverse grid of race 1. Pav in first, JRC in second, Big Les Kun in third, GT Deli B in fourth, Diablo in fifth, Polish Magic in sixth, L Game in seventh, TNR Philo in eighth, MRC Bobby in ninth, Potomac Pot in 10th, Luis Marino in 11th, Louis in 12th, B Rated in 13th, and NGR Saxo in 14th. So they're off. Pav's got a good start, as has Big Les Kun, so he's managed to take a place off. I think that's JRC moving down the pack, so not a good start for JRC, losing a few places. Big Les Kun then up into second under a bit of pressure from GT Deli B, but just managing to fend him off into that first corner. So again, it looks like everyone's got through there cleanly. I think GB Rated was a little bit far back from the pack, so I don't know whether B Rated and Luis Marino and MRC Bobby got into a bit of a tumble in turn 1. Just closing the gap back up on this pack now. So back up to the front, Pav under some serious pressure from Big Les Kun. Looking like he's making a move there, Big Les into T1. He's got the inside line. Can he keep the speed? So he's taken that place then, Big Les Kun. Good move by Big Les into T3 there to take that place off Pav. He's already half a second up the road. That gap just coming down a little bit. Ooh, keep it on track, Big Les. So Pav into second then, under a bit of pressure from Polish Magic behind him as well. Again, still the back end of that Aston losing a bit of traction. But the guys will be giving it all on these first couple of laps. So Polish Magic looking for a move on Pav, Kate taking that place off him. Oh, Pav just making a dive straight back down the inside. Looking to take that place straight back. Pav, Polish Magic running it wide through there as well. So Pav keeping his second spot then. Pav will get the toe. GT Deli B is looking for a move on Polish Magic into T1 on lap 2. He's just decided to back out of that. Diablo in the background just holding a bit of a penalty. Also Polish Magic and GT Deli B having a bit of a coming together. So that's put both of those right down the pack. GT Deli B in 12th now. Polish Magic in 13th. JRC in the pits already. So I don't know whether JRC's had damage. Just coming to get that repaired. Must have missed that. So Pav then, he's storming away at the front, 1.6 seconds up the road at the minute. So good drive from the one and only P1 driver in this team versus team event. Pav 46 then in second place. Just holding his own, managing to keep a bit of a gap over Pot, who's now moved up into third place. Good drive from Pot. Over half a second gap over TNR Philo behind him, who is under serious pressure from NGR Saxo. And we know Saxo is a fast driver from race 1. He has just been dinked wide, I think, lost a bit of time, so Louis getting past him. L Game right on his bumper as well, but Diablo's right on the back of L Game, so fights everywhere up and down this pack still. MRC Bobby still in the thick of that in 9th place, B rated right back on the back of this pack as well. Lewis Marino only half a second back. And then unfortunately GT Deli B, he is just losing a bit of time through there. So he'll be spitting bullets after the incident with Polish Magic, back into 12th and 13th for those respectively. JRC, as I say, I think he's just had a bit of damage, brought himself in the pits on that second lap. As I say, heavy damage on tonight. So the guys have got to be real careful. Yeah, Big Les Kun having a good race so far. 0.4 seconds in front in P1 at the minute. He had a bit of a nightmare in race 1. He crashed into the wall, had all sorts of damage. And that's a pit, lost a lot of time. He's having a good race so far. 1:41, so holding fastest lap as well at the minute, Big Les. Keeping the gap pretty consistent between himself and Pav 46. Pav 46 losing a bit more time to Pot. Less than a second between those two. And then TNR Philo bringing up the back of this, the front of this little pack. So it's TNR Philo being chased down closely by NGR Saxo. So getting a good run out of there. Right on the back of Philo then. See if he can get the dive done into T1. He's just backed out, then NGR Saxo. It's a risky move. Stay on board with him. So TNR Philo looking like he's got control of this Nissan in race 2. Flick up and look back at NGR Saxo, now being chased pretty closely by Louis. So still half a second gap between these two. Louis right on the back bumper of NGR Saxo as well, not letting these two run away with it. Tight, close racing, even in the wet. It's good to see. NGR Saxo just running a little bit wide, giving Louis a bit of a look. He's lost some time though to TNR Philo. TNR Philo putting in purple sectors as well. So we'll just jump off TNR Philo and flick through the packs. NGR Saxo then have just been looking at being chased by Louis pretty closely. L Game, he's got MRC Bobby closing in on him. He's pulling Diablo with him as well. Diablo just holding a 0.5 of a second penalty. He's got a good run out of there. Bobby's just drifting that Mercedes. And Bobby also holding half a second penalty as well. rated. He's 3 seconds back off of Diablo. And Luis Marino is 3 seconds back from him also. GT Deli B's closed the gap on him. Looks like Polish Magic's closed the gap a little bit on GT Deli B. What's going on there? Oh, GT Deli B then looks like he's just had another moment. Just flicked off him. He spun off in T1. So back down into 13th for GT Deli B. He's having a bit of a nightmare tonight. And JRC, we know he's been in the pits already. So repairing some damage. So down in the back for JRC. 30 seconds off top spot. He's got 9.5 second gap in front of him to GT Deli B again, just running himself wide in that corner. So losing more time than JRC. So Big Les Kun, he's had his time gap reduced down to just a second now. Slowly closing the gap on Pav, losing a bit of time through there though, Potter. So the gap's just staying a little bit consistent. There's a couple of fights going on, so TNR Philo Louis closed the gap on him. He's got past NGR Saxo. So looking to take the place off of TNR Philo as well. Wrangling that Mercedes, getting the most of it he absolutely can. And Charles Saxo just losing the back end of that Mercedes as well. So still in these intermediate conditions, not quite as heavy rain, still the guys struggling to get the power down in these cars. So I don't know what's happening to Pav. Down in 5th place now. He was right behind Big Les, so maybe spun off. So he's not caused an incident with any other driver, so it's not as if he's waiting around for them. So maybe just still struggling with that car. NGR Saxo then chasing him down. He's just got in the way of his fight between Louis and Philo as well, so I'm sure NGR Saxo is eager to get past Pav. Our game seems to be controlling that Nissan as well quite well. 7th place for him at the minute. So MRC body side by side with Diablo. Diablo just getting past him at the minute. He's got the inside line into T1. Looks like he's taken that place off of Bobby. A little bit of contact between the guys. Bobby just running wide, so I think Bobby just turned in a little bit early then. Still side by side. Diablo's just got a car's length on him. He will probably still have to go defensive. Bob's looking for a move, but he is losing his penalty. So L Game and Pav having a coming together. Like L Game may have been the culprit in that one, but good to see everyone holding back and letting the guys back on track. Unfortunately for L Game, that's put him down in 12th place. So back up to P1, he's gapped more, 1.9 seconds up now than Big Les. So having a damn good race at the minute. We're on lap 7 of 22. Run at the minute is Big Les. Potter McPot just under 2 seconds behind him. Potter McPot does like this Mercedes, he does get on well with it. Louis only 2.7 seconds back from Potter as well. TNR Philo still managing to keep that Nissan on track. NGR Saxo then back in the fight with TNR Philo. I couldn't tell you who Potter's racing for, mate. I don't know whether he's racing for next gen, MRC, or P1 tonight. So Diablo then up into 6th place. He's holding a bit of a penalty, but clearing that now. Then he was in a fight right at the front with Big Les Cunt and Potter McPot. So he's just had a bit of an incident, put him down into 5th place, and then he's just had another bit of an incident with L Game, and down into 7th now for him. Polish Magic right on the back of him though. So I will run through fastest laps in a second. Just keep my eye on the order. So GT Deli B then back up to 9th. MRC Bobby. So he's been in the pits, come out on the wet tyres, full tank of gas. So we'll see how long he can cope on those tyres. I don't know how the wets hold out in the intermediate, slightly less rain conditions. So Potter McPot and Big Les in the pits now as well. So we'll see how he comes out on top here. Potter McPot does like a strategy or two. Don't know what Big Les Cunt's strategies are like, whether he's played much in the way of strategies. You're going to claim him, are you? NGR Saxo and TNR Philo then getting past through the pit stops. Big Les couldn't manage to keep that P1, will be P1 by the time he comes around and Philo and Saxo pit. 3rd at the minute. He's lost a little bit more time to Potter, 1.4 seconds back from Potter. Potter just holding a little bit more fuel. Louis also been in the pits, 3/4 of a tank for him, 1.8 seconds, so looking to gain time in the pits by under fueling maybe a bit of fuel saving later on in the race for him. So MRC Bobby then up into 6th place, one of our first guys to pit, still holding a little bit of a penalty there, Bob. Diablo also been into pits, 7th for him. So he's having a better second race. B-rated, again been in the pits, so it looks like everyone's been in. Maybe not. Oh yeah, he's been in, he's out on the wets. Luis Marino, he's been in, he's out on a fresh set of intermediates. Sorry, Pav's on the intermediates. Luis Marino's come out on the wets. Deli B's fresh set of intermediates. Wets for L Game and intermediates for JRC. So we'll start running through some fastest laps for you guys. It's a 140.4 for Big Les Cunt. Potter McPot, he's got a 139.9 for Potter. Again closing that gap on Big Les. They are driving the different Mercedes. So I think one's a 2011, one's 2016, I think. I might have that wrong. You boys can correct me, I'm sure. So a 139.8 for Louis. NGR Saxo currently holding fastest lap of the race. He's got a 139.7. MRC Bobby, he's putting some pressure on TNR Philo. He's on a 140.1 on his last lap then for MRC Bobby. So he's just taking that place off of TNR Philo. TNR Philo was looking for a bit of a move back on him. So TNR Philo's fastest lap, 140.5. Diablo then 7th spot for him, 140.4 for Diablo. 140.8 for B rated on that last lap on the wets. Polish Magic 140.8 as well. Pav on a 140.6. Luis Marino 141.0. GT Deli B a 141.8. L Game 140.1 for him. And JRC 87 a 141.9. So that's fastest laps at the minute. Potomac Pot getting past Big Les then. Looks like Big Les has just had a bit of a mare, so holding a penalty, just losing that through there. Potter now with a second gap over Big Les. Louis looking to cause some damage to Big Les's campaign as well. So just 0.3 of a second. Just going a little bit defensive then, Big Les. We'll just say you are holding the wrong sticker on the back of your car. You got the Pro-Am on there, mate, but I'm sure you can sort that out, that's no problem. But yeah, still under a bit of pressure from Louis, just making a bit more of a gap on him through there. But this little fight is allowing Potter to run up the road a little bit. 1.3 seconds almost the gap. It is 1.3 now, so Potter Pot then out in front. He has raced against Louis in this very event last season, so he knows that Louis is a threat to him. Potter McPot looking to gain as many points as possible. He had a couple of bad races last week at Monza. Serious damage to his car, meant he had to pit and put him at the back of the pack, so he'll be looking to recover from that this week. It would be interesting, wouldn't it, Baggy, if Potter and Big Les took P1 and P2. Either way round, it wouldn't matter. Oh, okay, Bags. Oh yeah, I did see it in the chat actually. You were meant to change his sticker and obviously didn't. So Big Les, you're in the clear. It's Baggy's fault. Yeah, Potter McPot then just managed to eke out that gap a little bit more. 1.7 seconds. Big Les and Louis still in a punch up behind him. Half a second the gap now. So this is going to be one to keep your eye on. NGR Saxo up into fourth then through the pit window. He was looking for a bit of a fight with TNR Philo. He's also he's underfueled, as has Saxo. So we'll see how that plays out towards the end of the race. I'll hold you to that, Baggy. So Bobby then, he managed to get past Philo a couple of laps ago. He's managed to put a bit of a gap on him as well, 1.6 seconds then. Philo is starting to feel the pressure from Diablo behind him as well. So the Mercedes looks like they're the better car to have in these conditions, at least. As I say, the last couple of races, the Nissan seems to have been the car of choice. But the Mercedes seems to be holding its own this week. So Diablo just keeping that gap. He's holding a bit more of a penalty than Diablo. So losing time then to TNR Philo, although TNR Philo's just got it a little bit squiggly coming out of there, allowing Diablo to close the gap on him massively. 0.2 of a second now. Diablo might be able to get a move done into this corner if he's brave. No, he's backed out. So I know he's a fast, clean driver. Diablo is, I've raced against him myself in the GTTCCs, had a couple of seasons together. Real good battle around Nordschleife, if I remember rightly, my friend, according to ADG. So just looking to close that gap on him. Needs to clear that penalty though. A bit of breathing space behind him, but oh Diablo, keep it on track. A bit of breathing space behind him. 3-second gap back to be rated in 8th place. And he's kind of out on his own. So Luis Marino 6.5 seconds back from him, but under a bit of pressure from Polish Magic. Second back at the minute, 0.2. To close the gap on the Nissan in front of him. So GT Deli B, we know he's had a couple of incidents, put him quite far back in the pack. Again, clean, fast driver. Maybe he's just having a bit of nightmare with the setup or the conditions. Game, another Nissan driver had a bit of a struggle, got into a bit of a tangle with Pav 46, put both quite far down the pack. Pav was holding P2 at the start of this race, looking to chase down Big Les Kunt. Louis got past Big Les Kunt now as well. He's got a fair old gap on him, so I don't know whether Big Les has had a bit of a moment, but losing a lot of time to Louis, 1.3 seconds. Gap between Big Les and Louis. Potomac Pot now nearly 3 seconds up the road from Louis. So lap 14 of 22, just about to start lap 15. Now let's go on board for a lap with Potomac Pot. So you can see the conditions, a lot less rain on the screen in this one. The sky's quite light as well compared to the last one, very grey and dull in the last one. Yeah, and there looks like a lot less standing water on the track as well. So Potomac Pot then firing himself down towards T2. Again, difficult corner to get right if you don't know this track. Really tight, up the hill, off camber, a lot of run out space. It is an area where people will run wide to try and gain time, but that's not cricket really, we don't like that. So Potomac Pot then into T3, this hard right hand corner, again almost a hairpin. Down into the centre of the track. This long left hander again, got to be careful not to put the power on too early. Push yourself off onto that sand. Same on this corner, not too early on the power and push yourself out wide onto this sand. Easy to compromise your lap through there. Full speed down to the last two corners. Nice wide line there for Pot to get a good run through the second to last corner. Again holding it massively out wide. Across that curb and down the start finish straight. That's a lap on board with Potomac Pot. And 1:44.4 in that lap as well. Luis Marino now holding top lap of the race, or he was. NGR Saxo's just taken that, 1:39.6 for NGR Saxo. Potomac Pot extended his gap 3.2 seconds on the road from Louis. Louis has extended his gap slightly from Big Les Kunt, 1.8 seconds up the road. There's no way of telling whether Big Les is fuel saving. He could be looking after his tyres. I don't know if he's fuel saving. His tyres don't look too bad. He's holding more fuel than Louis. He's on a very similar fuel to Potomac Pot. So I doubt Potomac Pot's fuel saving. Maybe Big Les is fuel saving, but if he does too much of that, he's going to be under some pressure from NGR Saxo, who's closed the gap on him. 2.6 seconds behind Big Les. Big gap behind him back to MRC Bobby, and an even bigger gap to TNR Philo. So TNR Philo losing loads of time through this lap. be under a bit of pressure from Diablo. B rated right behind him as well, less than a second gap between these two. Again, I've raced Diablo and B rated and Deli B. All clean, fast guys. All faster than me as well. I won't swear. I could, but I won't. Luis Marino, he did have fastest lap with 1:39.6, but then just 1:39.697, and just as I saw it, NGR Saxo went and put in a 1:39.630. So sorry, mate, I didn't quite see that. So Polish Magic kind of out on his own. He's got almost 10 seconds in front of him to Luis Marino. About 5-second gap back to GT Deli B. He's got no pressure from behind. 10-second gap back to L Game for him, and then 3.5 seconds back to Pav. JRC right at the back of the pack, struggling tonight. JRC in this Nissan. He's only 7 seconds back from Pav. We'll have to keep an eye on that, see whether he can make any time up on that. He's closing the gap a little bit. So pot then, 3 seconds up the road. Louis has managed to close that gap a little bit. 2.8 seconds. Extending the gap over Big Les Kun, 2.3 seconds back to Big Les Kun then. He's having a good race, Big Les. As I say, he does have to be careful. He's doesn't put himself under too much pressure from NGR Saxo, another fast guy. He won race one of tonight. He won race one pretty cleanly as well. So one to watch for the future, NGR Saxo. MRC Bobby again. I think every time we flick to you, Bob, you're holding a penalty. So I don't know what you're doing. I don't know whether you're swearing at marshals as you drive around. Whatever it is, stop it. So Diablo. Diablo did get past Velo, ran himself wide though, so I don't know whether he's going to get a penalty for that, but it's compromised his time. So 3 wide coming through there. So Philo just winning out through that one. B-rated tucking in behind him as well, taking that place off of. So Diablo having an absolute nightmare through that corner, losing the back end of that car. Right, he was right at the front of this fight, and he's just lost it, allowing TNR Philo and B-rated to run off on the road. 1.5 seconds up the road now, and he's under a bit of pressure from Luis Marino behind him. So he is holding a bit of rear end damage, is Diablo. He's struggling with the back end of that Mercedes by the look of it. He was having a good race. That's a shame, Diablo. You're on for a bit of a punch up with those lot. Again, just losing the back end of that Mercedes. Luis Marino then, so he'll be looking to take that place off Diablo any minute if Diablo keeps playing around like that. So Polish Magic again still out on his own. Not a lot going on for Polish Magic at the minute. GT Deli B just keeping that gap at about 4 seconds. Again, he's had a bit of a mare tonight, is GT Deli B. Our game again struggling in that Nissan tonight. He's got to be a bit careful. He's got Pav chasing him down, 2.2 seconds behind him. We have only got 3 laps left. Our eye on that fight, see if he can catch up with L Game. JRC 87 then. He's had an absolute nightmare. He had damage on lap 1. Had to go in the pits and get that repaired, and has not managed to recover since. But I do like your livery. So Potter has had his deficit, his time deficit reduced a little bit. 2.2 seconds the gap between Potter and Louis. So just 2 laps left in this race. A lot of work for Louis to do. He's closing the gap on Potter McPot. Putting in hot sectors as well, purple sectors for Louis. Big Les Kun is under some serious pressure from NGR Saxo, 1.7 seconds the gap. Can he fend off Saxo to hold the 3rd spot in this race? So NGR Saxo, he's had a bit of a tough time of it. Was in a fight between TNR Philo and MRC Bobby. Got nudged back a little bit after Pub 46's incident. He was in 2nd place and he span off track, managed to get in the middle of the fight between TNR Philo and NGR Saxo. But NGR Saxo just managing to push his way through up into 4th then for him at the minute. MRC Bobby, he's got big gaps either side of him. Not a lot to worry about for Bob at the minute, just got to keep it clean and in a straight line. TNR Philo making up another place and 6th place for him. B-rated's not that far back, so just over half a second. So this could be another one. Oh, he's just run himself wide then, Philo. So B-rated looking for a move around the outside of that corner. And taking the place off TNR Philo. So 6th place for B-rated, 7th for Philo. Just don't outbrake yourself through there, B-rated. So it'll be interesting to see how much. Oh, just drifting that Mercedes. So Philo's going to get a good run back on him. B-rated's going mega defensive. Philo having to take the wide line. He's got the place. They are side by side through that corner, but Philo's got that place back off him. B-rated's got a good run out the corner. He might get this place back before the end of this run. He does. He's got to be careful. Philo's going to go for a lunge. Again, side by side through T2. Some really good clean racing going on here. Again, B-rated getting a good run. That Mercedes has just got some power out the corners. It just seems to be able to get the power down better than the Nissan. So keeping that place then for B-rated at the minute. Just making a little bit of a gap on TNR Philo. He has just closed that gap down though. This is all allowing Luis Mourinho to get onto the back of this fight. So I'm just going to flick back up to the front as Potter McPot finishes his penultimate lap. So we're on to final lap, less than 2 seconds the gap. It has just been extended to over 2 seconds, but Louis is closing him down pretty damn rapidly. So 2nd place for Louis, Big Les Kun, 3rd place for him. He's still got NGR Saxo pretty close behind him, but 3rd place for him at the minute. He's got one more lap to fend off NGR Saxo. So keeping the gap 1.1 seconds then. Again, MRC Bobby, he's got B-rated closing him down pretty damn rapidly, dragging TNR Philo back with him. 5 seconds back on last lap, that's not going to happen. But Luis Mourinho, he's looking for a move onto Philo. Both in the Nissan, so it's all going to come down to setup and drive up. Lost a bit of time there though, Luis, so won't be able to take that place back off him down this straight. It's really one of the only places you can do it, so let me just flick back up to Potter McPot. had a good race then, Potter. He's kept it clean and out of trouble as he comes around the last corner then. Putting the power down, so keeping the gap 2 seconds almost to Louis. So first place for Potter. Damn good race from him. Louis into second. Big Les Kun taking third. Fair play, NGR Saxo. Another good result, my friend. 4th place for you, first in the first race. So good points on the board for you. Big Les Kun, I'm sure you're happy with that against the pros. Showing the other P1 boys what they were missing. Go on, Kun. Nice one, CJ. Yeah. Big Les Kun, 3rd place, mate. Yeah, he's had a stomper. He held first for a while. He was being chased down by Pav for a bit. Pav span out. He got closed down by Potter. Potter took him. Louis closed him down. Louis took him. But yeah, he managed to fend off NGR Saxo. And NGR Saxo was looking pretty damn quick. That was some good racing, Lee. That was some good racing between Philo and B Rated. That side-by-side action. That's what I mean. That's what half these groups are about. It's just about the clean racing, and that just proves it. You know, side by side. I mean, at one point there was 3 wide coming down this very straight. There was a little bit of contact, but you expect that. There was 3 wide coming down there. It was great to watch. That was some pretty cool racing. So let me give the usual congratulations. Well, can't at the minute. Shabloom. Right. Shablow. Come on. Blow. Blowing. Might have to give Big Les another one. Give Big Les another congratulations just because he did so well. He gets 2. I'm sure tonight, even though you know, it was in the rain and people might not have got the results they wanted, I'm sure everyone's going to be very happy with that race. In cleanliness, in, you know, giving positions back, all that sort of stuff. Yes, there was 1 or 2 incidents, but all fair. People were giving places back, etc., etc. Really, really good racing. Oh, baggy. Oh, yeah, shit. Oh, that's the first time I've done it. You just made me swear on a stream, Baggy. Yes, tune in tomorrow night, mate. Tune in tomorrow night. I'll give you some big ups. But you've just made me swear on my stream. I can't believe it. Cool. I'm glad you had some great racing. Oh, Dagley Ball's in the room. MRC buddy as well. So we've had a few people leave then, and a few of the MRC boys join. But yeah, another clean pair of races from the next gen MRC, P1 and MRC SIM-FX boys. I did have a look where we were next week. Oh, it's Brands Hatch next week, GP track. That'll be interesting. That's a tight little track for some battles in these cars. Again, it'll be the same format as this week. 2 races. 2 races, 15-minute quali, a short little feature race, and then the big long half-an-hour-ish feature race. So I will update points next week, because I'm not working it all out. That's not for me to do. I don't want to. It'll hurt my brain, so I'm not going to. So yeah, that's going to be another stream done. I'll be back Wednesday night for round 4 of this. I'll also be back tomorrow night for P1's final round of the Toyota Concept Cup. Now that's pretty fiery. There's the little Toyota Concepts round short courses, slipstreams on strong. It's a punch up from start to finish. So yeah, tune in for that on Thursday. It's actually SWEARY Call Your Mum Out Friday this week. So I'm actually racing Friday. So if you're used to my streams, if you've only watched my commentary, then just be prepared that there'll be more of what Baggy made me do, swearing and calling out people's mums, mostly. 'Cause that's what SWEARY Friday and calling out your mum Friday is, really. But yes, I'll be racing in the GTTCCs on Friday night from 9 PM, 20-minute quali, and then into 2 half-an-hour races. Yes, yes, CJ, you can confirm, I swear. And then, yeah, I'll get Saturday off, and then Sunday we're back for round 8. Is it round 8 or round 9 of, I think it's round 9 of the Nissan GR2s. So that's the big rear-wheel drive Nissans, loads of aero, loads of power. They're pretty quick, some good fights going on in that race. And then I'm also back Monday night for next gen Chewit Mini Cooper Cup as well. Again, that's similar setup to the Toyotas on Thursday night, so tomorrow night. It's short courses, it's the little minis, 150 brake. Yeah, it's been 3 rounds so far, and it's been a punch up every race. It's been great, really close, really tidy racing. So yeah, check me out tomorrow. Check me out SWEARY Call Your Mum Out Friday. Check me out Sunday for the Nissan GR2s. Monday for the Nissans. I'm back Wednesday for round 4 of this, the team versus team from this very track here, Brands Hatch, which the boys are obviously setting up to have a practice on. Yeah, come check me out. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Tell your mates, tell your mum, send your bank details, and I'll be back tomorrow night. See you later. My name's darksmoka. I'm out of here.